Hey everybody, welcome to the episode of On the Paint Table. It's my weekly show about what I got done, what I'm working on, and what is coming up. So another big week of painting. First thing, I fulfilled my promise. I finished up my objective markers, my last ruffian and some barricades for Stargrave, so I can hopefully give it a try this weekend. I painted up two big central objectives for the big impressive one. It's supposed to be in the middle because it's one or the other, a supplied like a physical loot or a data loot, and I wanted to have some cool theme stuff for that. And then two kind of more generic ones for data and like a physical loot token that can go on my opponent's half. The goal being I want everybody to make their own objective markers that they place in their opponent's half of the table because they can theme it to their warbands and stuff. I think it'd be a cool idea. And then I had a big giant paint process for getting done a new Blood Bowl team. I got lucky enough to get to play a game against not Owen this week. My old buddy Mike Loudon from my workshop days here in Canada came in with his Underworld Pact, which is the cool mixed team with like Skaven and Goblins and Snotlings and stuff on it, and a Troll. And I wanted to do the other mixed team, so I finished off my Middenheim Maulers, not Marauders, Maulers, which is the Dwarf, Halfling, Ogre, and Human team, a mixed team, which has been updated, of course, for this second season of Blood Bowl. Then I got some new cool stuff come in. I've got some cool new stuff from Traders Galaxy for Bot War. They're nice enough to send along some of the new stuff for not just the cool bots, the Valiants, but also for my Atlanticans, which is awesome. Omen showed up, and then some new stuff as well for the Democracy, which is an ally I can show off for the Valiants, which is basically like, they're like battle cars. They're super cool. Some stuff came in from Modiphius too for Elder Scrolls Called Arms. They're releasing this awesome new dungeon procedural generator for Delves, and they sent along some new monsters, because I'm sure you've obviously gotten tired of watching me just play with the monsters that were in the original sets and stuff, so they sent along the new Draugr Guardians, Draugr Ancients, and some adventurers and stuff too, some allies to fight. And then finally, I'm super excited about this. Andrew Russ was so excited about the Rise of the Orcs game and me talking about Cash playing through it, that he sent along, he managed to find a copy of the new Space Marine Adventures, which I'm going to show off to you guys next week. And Cash is going to lose his mind over this weekend. So anyway, let's get a look at what got done and what is coming up. So first things first, here is my objective markers for Stargrave, as well as my Ash Nomad, which, you know, you have to paint an Ash Nomad when your name's Ash. This dude is an old Marauder mini that was used in Confrontation, the original version of Blood Bowl. And I painted him up in kind of like a gray and purple scheme, like a dark purple scheme with some classic like hazard striped weapons. It just gave him like a kind of techno backpack for rebreathing all the dust that's out there on Logan's World. So he's all done. This means I got a ruffian to place during the game if you roll a 1 to 4 in the first mission. And these are my central tokens. So my big physical supply token, it's like an old Imperial crate. It's been rotting on this world. And this was my idea. This is actually an old 40k objective marker. You're supposed to put a dice on it. But I found this old Khorne Berserker head lying in a pool of blood. And so what I did was I put the two together and I painted them up to be like a psychic interrogation of like some dead traitor marine. I figure for my info, my data one, like having a psychic interrogation is just this like perfect inquisitorial objective. So those are the central ones. It'll be either or each game. You're trying to talk to the severed head or find what's in here. And then this is going to be my my other physical loot. It's some kind of like weird containment thing that's got some kind of artifact or relic in it, like an Imperial containment device. And this little shrine is my other info one, where there's some kind of data drop in here. So that's my data one, and this is my physical loot. Then these are the Walking Dead barricades that I painted up to be just sort of like generic barricades, but I got some Get Gorkin signs and Myron Lives, because Myron Jubagun is the evil person on Logan's World. And then I painted up the plates and stuff to look like they're off old Imperial vehicles. They're just dry brush brown, a bit of metallic, like the same brown for all the wood bits, and then an undertone of brown for the metallics. And then I stipple in the color afterwards to give it that nice rusted kind of like flaked off metal effect. There's some parking cones too, but who says there isn't parking cones in space? You never know. These are all pre-assembled from the Walking Dead All at War and like super quick to paint. They look great. And here are my Middenheim Maulers. So this is the Old World Alliance team, and I've got a max roster here. Now you can have a Treeman, but he's like impossible to buy right now, and I can't find one. Mostly because Acorn, I think Acorn, like corn is in the Cascade corn, was the star player that you could make out of the squirrel on his shoulder, and he's amazing. Like he's like ridiculous. Dauntless Super Squirrel, Murder Squirrel. And so you can only have one big guy in the team, so I'll just paint up, if I ever manage to find the plastic Tree Man, if he comes back in stock, the Tree Man to be number 6 as well, and then I'll just swap in my Ogre, swap him in and out. And so it's all basically maxed out. I got 2 Halfling Hopefuls for him to chuck, or the Tree Man to chuck at some point. I got 4 Human Linemen, 2 Human Blitzers. 1 Human Blitzer, because I only have 1 Human Blitzer now. A Dwarf Blitzer, right there, so my 2 Blitzers are together. Yeah, 4 linemen, 2 blitzers, one's a dwarf, one's a human, a thrower and a catcher, because you can have one of each of the human positionals, and then you only have 2 dwarf blockers, but then a dwarf runner like rounds it out. Oh, actually, sorry, I have 5 linemen, don't I? That's right, yeah, I have 5 human linemen, because linemen are kind of your all-arounders, and I think you have 12 of them, so they're kind of your unlimited one. And last but not least, a Troll Slayer. And it's a neat team. They improved the loner rating on them to 3+ instead of 4+ for the dwarves, and they took it away from the halfling. So there's no loner on the halfling anymore. So you can actually maybe do like a stunty throw with your ogre or your tree man, and the actual passing game isn't so terrible to the dwarves now because they can use rerolls on a 3. It's a neat list. I painted up the 2 halves of the coins and stuff too for like my gubbins. I didn't paint the mug of beer. I figured the fist was more appropriate because Middenheim is actually a human city technically. And I played a couple games with. Sorry, I played 1 game with them so far, and they were an interesting. I'm gonna have to try and get to grips with them because obviously they're a tier 2 team. They're considered tier 1, but I'd say they're more tier 2 because they have some inbuilt sort of like struggles to not being able to take kind of the best of each team and have positionals from both be too amazing. And so here is the new stuff coming up. So Elder Scrolls Call to Arms, these are all the resin expansion kits. So some Draugr Guardians and the Draugr Ancients, who are really cool. It's like the big baddies, and they've got like a whole bunch of different sort of unit types now. So not just greatsword guys, but also hand weapon and shield, and then some like big beady guys as well, and an Overlord. So there's Draugr Deathlord, Restless Draugr with Frostblade, 3 Hulking Draugr, and then their scenic bases and stuff too. Some Adventurer Followers, who are really cool. So you're going to get, they're all named characters, Janessa, a mercenary archer, Mercurio, the adventuring mage, Vorstag, a freelance adventurer, Mjol the lioness, Durkethis, the golden rock miner, and of course their bases too. And then this other one right here, more allies. Lydia, the Dragon's Reach Housecarl, Orc Barbarian with 2-handed axe, Breton Ranger with bow, Carjo, the Caravan Guard, and a Kadjit Bandit with sword and dagger. So some like generic dudes in here too that are a little bit cheaper, which is kind of cool. And then this card pack, the expansion, 218 cards, covers all this stuff, and then gives you more cool gubbins basically for finding and revealing and stuff, and some more quest cards too, which is awesome. So more like delve quest cards for the 3 different terrain types and stuff. I also assembled and primed up some more Infinity stuff I want to add. I want to get my Winter 4 going again, so I built some remotes for them, as well as the Code 1 expansion pack, the Beyond Code 1, which has your Varg troop, the Boig, who are just like really nice models. And I did up the Sierra with the HMG, and then a combi rifle one, which can be a couple different types of drone. I also got my Delta Doctor, because you want to have a doctor with the cool drop-in like Delta Doctor. I think it's a Udbot technically, actually. It might be a Delta bot. I don't know. I don't know what it actually is called. It's your pal bot. It's your little like Mr. Fix-It, or Ms. Fix-It in this case, who's gonna go bring people back to life. Because of the same color, I figured I'd paint Grak and Crumbleberry. They're a star player duo, and it's just nice to have another ogre. So I'm gonna paint my ogre up, I think probably in the purple and white, like they are in the card. And that way they're former Maulers who are out to hire now. And it'd be neat to be able to have them as like an inducement at some point too, and do a double ogre, because then you could have double ogre extra halfling on the roster for the Maulers. Some more Valiants, some of the new Valiants showing up here. There's no label on this, so I'm actually not sure who they are. I'm gonna have to research it, but the casts are incredible. Then there's Omen, who's one of the big guys with the trident for the Atlanticans, who's super cool. And then over here we've got Sloan Paulson, Tom Rockford, and Candy from the Democracy, and they're cool like battle trucks. I love them so much. I can't wait to paint this stuff. I'm excited for when Mike's able to come back in so we can play some more Bot War. Last but not least, Labyrinth of the Necrons, the game of heroic action in the far future. I'm actually really pumped for this. It's kind of a sleeper. It's like a baby Space Hulk with Necrons. Now, it is a bookshelf game, so it's very model light, but I get the rest of the Space Marine Adventurers, or Heroes, sorry, from Japan that I didn't have because they don't come in the North American set. So I do have the Sergeant, but I built him as the Alt Sergeant with the different head. But the Heavy Bolter guy, the Flamer guy, the Knife Dude, and the Auspex guy were not available in North America. And so I'm super pumped I'll be able to actually paint these guys up. I think what I'm going to do, though, and tell me in the comments what you think about this, is I think I'm going to do a Let's Play with just the contents of the box as is. So using just exactly the way these miniatures look as the gameplay. So I'm not going to paint them, I don't think, before the gameplay. And I'm going to use the tokens just for the Let's Play, just to be like kind of true to character as to what is in the box and stuff. And then I'm going to paint these as like a second Ultramarines Old Guard squad and add them to my Ultramarines, because they're just, I'm going to finish them obviously to be a completionist. These are all miniatures that are from the same line. And then once that's done, what I can do is I can also play through the campaign. There's actually a 3-game campaign in here that's really neat, where like your casualties carry over, and it looks like a kind of pretty, like it's simple, but it's a fairly legit like solo campaign game, or up to 4 players if you want, with like 1 person kind of in reserve that you call in as a reinforcement if somebody dies. And you actually like carry everything from game to game. But then what I can do is I can actually paint up Necrons, because Cash is, I promised him I'd paint his half of the Necron, whatchamacallit, the Recruit Edition of the Necron 2-player starter set. And if I do that, then I can do like the campaign as like a deluxe campaign. You guys can watch me play through the 3 missions, but I'll use Necron miniatures for all the Necrons. I'll paint an Overlord for the Overlord, because I have one. And I have some Immortals, obviously, too. I can paint up. I'll rebase my Immortals in the new 32s. So tell me in the comments what you think. I think that's my idea. I'm gonna do the Let's Play just to show you the gameplay for the core mission, using exactly this as it is. Like, I built it all and it's done. And then paint it up and do like a deluxe playthrough of the campaign with like actual miniatures. I think it's gonna look really cool. Like, the boards are really nice. Like, not using tokens, like using actual Necron miniatures. I think it's gonna look really slick. Like, it has kind of like a Space Crusade feel to it. And I'm actually kind of pumped for it. So I think that's what I'll do, is I'll paint the squad as the Ultramarines, and then because the Sergeant is actually an Ultramarine, I'll have the rest of them be Ultramarines too, and they'll go into the Labyrinth, and maybe I'll even tie it into our campaign, do a little Pry Nexus campaign where this Old Guard squad goes into like their final mission or whatever. Tragus is like, you guys are the ones that won't cross the Rubicon, so now you have to go in the Labyrinth and get work done. Show us how good you are. Yeah, tell me in the comments what you think. Cash is pumped, and huge thanks to Andrew for sending this. This is a cool find. I think he found a copy left at Target in the US, and shipped it up here for Cash, and he lost his mind. He was completely excited. So we're gonna play this, I think, at the cottage this weekend, and then I'm gonna paint, like, I'll do the Let's Play with it as is, and then what we'll do is we'll do like a deluxe like playthrough of the campaign afterwards. So there you go, another episode on the paint table done and on the books. Another look at what I got finished and what is coming up. Tons of cool projects on the go. Lots more solo content to check out. And of course, lots of new content and stuff too that's going to be like super fun to get to when more folks are able to start coming back in and we're able to get together again. So big thanks for watching. We'll see you in the future for next week's On the Paint Table. See what I get done. Till then, I'm Ash. Have a good day. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below to get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.